On today's World Insight, China and the Association of Southeast Asian Nations with deeper ties in diplomacy and people-to-people exchanges. As top trading partners, how are both sides working toward cooperation? Innovation, a growth priority in the making of semiconductors, 5G, AI, and Internet of Things. Robust trade on the rise under the China-ASEAN Free Trade Area 3.0. On these and other matters, ASEAN Secretary General Hourn speaks.
Well, last year we had a lot of negotiations between ASEAN and China to upgrade the ASEAN-China FTA to 3.0, and we were able to make substantial conclusions. And we expect that we will finalize within this year. And this is very important because we want to make sure that the FTA between us and China will be even more relevant to the business community.
Hello and welcome to World Insight with me, Tian. In recent years, ASEAN has had impressive economic growth, a major destination of foreign direct investment in the Global South. High-tech sectors such as semiconductors, 5G, artificial intelligence, and Internet of Things are fueling growth. Last year, ASEAN and China reached deals under the China-ASEAN Free Trade Area 3.0, a sign of deeper collaboration. At the recently concluded World Economic Forum annual meeting in Davos, I had an exclusive interview with ASEAN Secretary General, and here is our conversation. Between China and ASEAN economies, there are a lot of dynamic mechanisms in discussion. For example, China-ASEAN Free Trade Agreement. How would you describe the current stage of these discussions, especially how it's going to be translated into real results?
Well, last year we had a lot of negotiations between ASEAN and China to upgrade the ASEAN-China FTA to 3.0. And we were able to make substantial conclusions. And we expect that we will finalize within this year. And this is very important because we want to make sure that the FTA between us and China will be even more relevant to the business community. Certainly, of course, there will be new dimensions of the FTA, and we want to include new areas, including the digital economy, e-commerce. Always, I think the idea is to make sure that trade between ASEAN and China will remain at high volume. Already, China has been ASEAN top trading partner for the past 15 consecutive years. Well, ASEAN has been China top trading partners for the past 5 years, consecutive 5 years. So this FTA will have a very important direction for our FTA between the two sides, and of course for the trade.
Especially now, this is happening with the backdrop of the threats of tariffs and the withdrawing from international organization by some of the world's largest economies.
Well, we had to focus on our priorities. I think it's important to keep in mind, there's a lot of uncertainties in the world. There's a lot of disruptions, but yet I think we have to zero in what we can do together. That's important. At the same time, of course, beside the ASEAN-China FTA, we have the regional comprehensive economic partnership, in which, of course, ASEAN, China, plus 4 other countries, including Japan, Korea, and of course ASEAN, Australia and New Zealand. So I think it's important for us to work and to make sure that this largest FTA in the world will continue to work in favor of all of those countries.
There were earlier threats about tariffs against ASEAN economies. Are you worried, together with your colleagues from the ASEAN economies?
Well, Chinese investors are not the only investor investing in ASEAN. We have investors from other dialogue partner countries as well, and other external partners. So as long they produce and manufacture in the ASEAN zone, of course, we believe that it's important that we work with all our partners and not to penalize each other, particularly as ASEAN very much is a strong proponent of rule-based, open multilateral trading system. So we hope that this will continue to be the basis where we will work with all our external partners, including the U.S. as well.
As the Secretary General of ASEAN, I'm sure there's a lot of communication work that needs to be done as a result of the latest changes in the world. Regarding relationship between ASEAN and Washington, how would you get your message over?
Well, ASEAN and the United States, we have enduring partnership, already 47 years old. We will soon commemorate the 50th anniversary. At the moment, we are working on the drafting of the plan of action between ASEAN and U.S. Of course, we have a lot of mechanisms in place and many areas of cooperation. We hope the administration, the cabinet, of course, will continue to work with ASEAN on the basis of what we have done already in the past 47 years. Our relationship with the United States is not new, but I think we will have to ensure that the relationship will continue to benefit both sides.
So you have to read The Art of the Deal?
Well, thank you very much. I believe it's important that we have to focus on mutual interest, because everything based on mutual respect, mutual understanding, and mutual interest.
How would you describe the current relations between ASEAN and China beyond trade, and of course, certainly about trade?
Well, between ASEAN and China, China has, in ASEAN, we have a lot of mechanisms of cooperation cut across the different sectors and pillars of the ASEAN community. Certainly, of course, we focus very much on trade, investment, tourism, and connectivity. Here, we hope to welcome not just more investment from China, but we want to see trade will continue to move forward. We want to see more connectivity. At the moment, we understand that there are roughly about 2,300 flights per week between us and China. I think this connectivity is very important to support tourism sector. And that's why we hope this year, for the first time, that we are convening the ASEAN-China tourism ministers meeting for the very first time after the agreement we reached last year. So this is a new dimension of our work. But again, this is something that we go beyond trade. The relationship is, of course, focused on people to people, cultural cooperation, education, among others.
Under the golden warm glow of a historic temple, dragon dancers twirl and leap to rhythmic beats of festive drums. The cobbled streets of Bangkok's Hourn pulsated with light and life, a blend of culture, tradition, and modernity. The grandeur telling of a place considered one of the oldest and largest Chinatowns in the world. In the midst of this spectacle, the Princess, Her Royal Highness Mahashagri Serinthorn, the Prime Minister, Pathongtan Shinawat, and the Chinese delegation, their presence underscoring the event's deeper significance. Chinese New Year in Thailand this year was as much a cultural spectacle as it was a diplomatic embrace, gestures symbolic of a friendship spanning 5 decades of goodwill. It's a common theme across the country this year, at Government House, on the streets, and in department stores.
Almost every department store in Thailand has grand events, whether it is Thai-Chinese cultural exchange, performances of Chinese culture and Thai culture mixed together. This year is a very big event.
Chinese immigration to Thailand dates back centuries. Today, their descendants form an integral part of this country's cultural fabric and identity. a cultural fusion that transforms festivities into a unique, mesmerizing event. An event that has drawn in a record number of foreign tourists.
We have forecasted that the number of Chinese tourists entering the country this year will be about 7% more than last year. We have taken action to support and welcome Chinese tourists, and the government gives great importance to safety.
For Thailand, this year's Chinese New Year is more than just a festival. It was a reaffirmation of friendship woven through time, a celebration of shared prosperity, and a bold statement of what's to come.
There are latest reports seems to talk about tourism, suggesting about concerns for safety of tourists, Chinese tourists going to some of the ASEAN economies.
I think what's important is that seeing is believing. I'm sure that China has all the embassies in all ASEAN member states. The embassy can report. We have our ASEAN committee in Beijing, comprising the ambassador of 10 ASEAN member states. We have the ASEAN China Center that actively promoting other people-to-people, tourism, among others. So there are many mechanisms that we could share information and work. Of course, we have to promote safety and security of all tourists in ASEAN. But we are working together to promote our core interests. And the core interest is that at the end of the day, we should have our people travel back and forth between the two sides to learn from one another about the culture, the history, the heritage, and people should be able to interact more. And that's why I think it's clearly that this year is again the second year of the year of ASEAN-China exchange, people-to-people exchange. Last year we had already done that, but of course the fact that this is very important, and that's why both sides in China agreed to extend it to this year.
Chinese President Xi Jinping met with Thai Prime Minister Paetongtarn Shinawatra in Beijing on Thursday. President Xi called for stronger China-Thailand cooperation, highlighting major projects like the China-Thailand Railway and joint efforts in the digital economy and new energy vehicles. She also praised Thailand's measures to combat online gambling and telecom fraud, urging continued security cooperation. Prime Minister Paetongtarn reaffirmed Thailand's commitment to deepening ties in trade, agriculture, and cultural exchange. She stressed Thailand's readiness to work with China and neighboring countries to crack down on cross-border crimes. Chinese President Xi Jinping also met with the Sultan of Brunei, Haji Hassan al-Bolkiah, in Beijing on Thursday to strengthen bilateral ties. She emphasized the more than 30 years of diplomatic ties between the two countries and called for aligning China's Belt and Road Initiative with Brunei's Vision 2035 strategy. She also encouraged Chinese investment in Brunei's digital economy, AI, and new energy industries. Hassan al reaffirmed Brunei's commitment to trade, agriculture, and cultural exchanges while advocating multilateralism, free trade, and safeguarding the common interests of developing countries.
You see, Mr. Secretary General, the Going Global campaign by Chinese businesses, this of course is very different compared to 15 and 20 years ago, the earlier round. And this time is more about going to different economies, working with these different economies, creating jobs over there, make sure the Chinese companies become local companies. And especially in ASEAN economies, this is such a huge trend, and they were welcomed by many of the people in ASEAN. How do you see this trend? What does that say about the synergy of the economies and companies?
Well, we become more interconnected, more integrated. By working together, we welcome Chinese companies. There are many different Chinese companies that have been investing in ASEAN member states in different sectors of the economy. It's important that we have that. At the same time, we have some of the ASEAN investors that have gone to China as well.
Absolutely.
In Hong Kong, for example. So I think this is it's mutual. We welcome because we have been doing business together, and we hope that the level of trust will continue. We have to become each other reliable and trusted partners.
You know, there are a lot of things going on in our global trade and economies, but how are ASEAN economies articulate about these opportunities, but at the same time challenges?
Yes. You see, we don't rely on any single market. We have to work on different markets, and we have to diversify, continue to make sure that the new drivers of economy that we continue to work on, whether from the blue economy, the green economy, the digital economy. The idea is that we have to make sure that these different parts of the economy will serve the long-term interests. And we have to work with our partners on a long-term basis. Everything is not subjected to short-term interests. And I think that's why we are on the long haul, meaning we work with our partners. In the case of China, already closer to 4 decades already. Some are now in the 5th decades. So there is something that we have to continue to invest in a partnership. We should never take a partnership for granted. We have to continue to build the relationship, the partnership, and of course we make sure that the areas of cooperation will continue to be deepened and expanded.
Do you think partnership, long-time built, are being tested because of so many uncertainties going on in the world?
Constantly. But what's important is that we have to rely on what we've been doing together.
The legacy.
Yes, the legacy, the mutual interest, the trust, and the reliability. And I think that's important is that here in the region, we have to make sure that we have long-term peace and stability, because prosperity cannot go alone unless we have peace and stability. At the same time, we have to work together to combat a lot of challenge, a lot of what we call the new challenges. You know, we have to confront the new challenges that we're facing together, including the impact of climate change, for example, the geopolitical tensions there. We have to work to reduce the trust deficit among the partners. But at the same time, I think we have to make sure that the issue pandemic, because we expect a pandemic outbreak could take place.
The health issue.
The health issue, the public health issue, yes. Again, anything could undermine our prosperity, as we see in the case of COVID-19 pandemic, just overnight, you see. So I think, again, we have to build the relationship on a long-term basis.
Obviously, the new technology is playing such an important role, even though it's not as dramatic as earlier expected, but certainly it's already integrated into many industries. How is ASEAN in terms of developing these new technology, adapting these new technology, building partnership based upon these new technologies? Tell us more about your takeaway.
Yes. Well, at the moment, we have 2 ASEAN mechanisms that have been in place and working. One is called the ASEAN Digital Ministers Meeting. We have this being set up for some time already, and we just had the meeting in Bangkok recently. Of course, discussion a lot on AI, among others. For ASEAN, this particular mechanism of our region is that they are focused on the role of ethics, governance, rules and regulations. But then we also have the ASEAN Ministry meeting on science, technology, and innovation. They are the one focusing on the application of AI, the downstreams. And of course, in between, you have all other sectors, from agriculture to education to health, environment. And the rest, they of course use AI as well. So for us, it's that it's important to focus on the digital infrastructure development, get all the governance issue being addressed, but that would not stifle the development. We want to make sure that AI, we have to maximize AI for our own benefits. But for this ASEAN Digital Ministers meeting, we have our partnership. We work with China, with Korea, Japan, India, US, and ITU, for example. So I think it's important for us to work to build partnership. And for AI, is a new, I would say, as long we welcome the emerging technologies.
Yeah. I mean, there are very different directions you see economies are taking. Some describe the U.S. approach is probably more discovering and also developing more cutting edge and disruptive new technologies, while China traditionally is very good at doing applications. How do you see the different divergence of attention different economies are applying to AI? For ASEAN, what does that mean? How would you choose, or do you not to choose?
Well, we have been negotiating for the ASEAN Digital Economy Framework Agreement, DIFA, which started since September 2023, and we expected to conclude this negotiation before the end of the year. So this is going to be a significant part of ASEAN as we are about to conclude this negotiation, based on the study that if we were to maximize our digital economy, ASEAN can benefit, and we can look at up to $2 trillion by 2030. So I think our member states are working very closely together to make sure that we have a region-wide focus on what we call fit for the future, and it's going to be a very ambitious agreement so that we can take advantage of it. At the same time, of course, it means that we have to prioritize capacity building, digital skill training, investment in the digital infrastructure.
That's a lot of work.
Of course, we talk about data privacy,
yes,
right? Data flow, e-commerce, digital payments, so many issues that we have to address them as our member state negotiating. So I think this is very, very important. But I would say that I believe that ASEAN is on the right track, in the right direction, particularly as we now are just to finalize the ASEAN Community Vision 2045 with 4 new strategic plans that are expected to be adopted by the ASEAN leaders later this year during the ASEAN Summit. And we believe that this will provide a long-term trajectory and the vision how ASEAN will look at the region and the world.
China and ASEAN are developing their new plan for action.
Yes.
From 2026 to 2030, that action plan. So what is the new content that everybody can be aware of at this moment?
Yeah. Well, you know, this new plan of action, a 5-year action, 2026-2030, is to build on our previous action plans and to take into account of our comprehensive strategic partnership and to give a new roadmap, a new direction. And this is going to be a very comprehensive plan of action. Will focus on a wide-ranging issues, from agriculture to trade, investment, tourism, connectivity. There's so many, including, of course, the traditional and non-traditional security issues as well, defense sector. So a wide range. I would say that the hope, of course, is to make sure that our plan of action will be ambitious, to cover the interests of both sides, and to make sure that we're able to implement all of them within a 5-year period. But I would say, based on the previous plan of action, we are very good at implementing the plan of action. So I look forward. ASEAN will continue to work with China to finalize this plan of action during the ASEAN China ministerial meeting in July this year.
Yeah. How will the green transformation play its role in that action plan?
It will, because right now what is big for ASEAN is that we focus on the green transition. Yes. And particularly now what is significant is that ASEAN is pushing ahead on the ASEAN power grid. Yes. So ASEAN power grid is important in terms of, there are certain parts of ASEAN that have the surplus of renewable energy. There are certain parts that we need them. So to have this power grid, it is very important for ASEAN. But at the same time, of course, with China, we welcome investment from China to invest in the energy sector.
Like what?
Like the EV production, for example, the solar energy, hydro,
lithium
batteries. Yes, all of that, yes. So these are very important, including, converting waste to energy solution. So I think there's a wide range of opportunities to work together.
And that's all the time we have for today. If you'd like to know more, search World Insight. Check out our YouTube channel. Follow us on X and Facebook. I'm Tian Wei. On behalf of the team, thanks for being with us. Bye for now.